Hello everybody, welcome to episode 2 of Artist Survival Station. Today it's going to be a short but more action-packed episode where we're going to look at how to distill water for our microgreens and I'll also give you an update on the shelving unit and how things are going. So let's start talking about water. Making sure that you have the right water for your microgreens is actually a very important and a bit time-consuming part of the process. And if you get it right, you're basically good to go. It's very hard to screw it up from that point on. Of course, you could probably grow microgreens or any other plant using tap water. They probably will grow fine. But of course in nature, plants don't get tap water, they get rainwater. Ideally, we give plants water that is very, very similar to what they want naturally, and they'll thrive. It's this balance, between trying to mimic the natural and then modifying it artificially. For instance, in terms of adding nutrients. So we're giving it the best possible water that it could have to stimulate the most growth. And that means that we have to kind of mimic what happens in nature and also add some things which only sometimes happen in nature, like having a lot of nutrients in your water or in your soil. And so we're trying to kind of bridge those two gaps. Now, what is the problem with tap water? There are ways to dechlorinate water. If you actually leave your tap water out in the sun or anything that's producing UV radiation, you will actually dechlorinate the water in about a day. There are also just minerals and sometimes some rust, old Montreal pipes, right? So the best way to grow microgreens is to use distilled water. Distilled water is water that has no minerals, it has no chlorine, no chemicals. It's been through a distillation process, and all that's left is pure water, or as pure as possible. Now, if you just need a little bit of water for a tray of microgreens, you can just go to the store or pharmacy and buy distilled water, and it'll be more than enough for your grow. Because I'm planning to grow 12 trays, and because I want the sculpture to kind of have its own sustainable operation, I don't want to go and get water every time and buy it. It would add up over time. So that leaves me with one option, which is to distill my own water, which sounds like a really heavy kind of topic to pick up. It's incredibly easy, and I'll show you how I do it. I'm distilling some water right here behind me as I speak. This is a very basic water distiller. You can see it was put together quite quickly using mostly things that you can find in the hardware store or in the garbage. So we have a heating element here, just like a cheap heating element, and we have a pot on top of it. This is a pot I found on the street. A neighbor was giving it out for free. It's not super big, but it's big enough. Now, this pot, I've connected a copper coil. This is something you can buy in a hardware store. It comes in a coil. I tightened the coil a little bit, and I used a compression screw to attach it to the pot. I drilled a hole in the pot, and there we go. And basically what happens is the water is boiling inside the pot, and that steam goes up the copper pipe. Now, since the copper pipe is cooler than the atmosphere inside the pot, the vapor starts to condensate inside the copper tubing, and then it eventually drips down into my water reservoir here. Okay? I'm just kind of blocking the steam so I catch everything I can get out of this water. So the only thing that will be left in the pot at the end are all the minerals, the chlorine, all this kind of stuff is what's left in there. So these towels are actually lowering the temperature of the tube even further, which is making the recondensation into water more efficient. Basically, the bigger the differential between the copper tube and the pot, the more efficient the system is. And in theory, you know, I could have this sitting in, this is quite hot already, I could have this sitting in a bowl of ice water, for instance, with the spigot kind of going off the side, and that would be an even more efficient distilling process. So as you can see, this is not a very complicated process, distilling your own water. I would say it probably cost me, you know, maybe $30 to put this together in a couple of hours. If I had to do it again, I probably would get a bigger pot, maybe like a pressure cooker would be a bit better. So I could have a bigger volume, and also a pressure cooker would kind of, the lid locks, so I wouldn't need these clamps, which are not decorative, they're quite functional just to increase the pressure inside the pot. I'd say this system probably distills a cup of water every about 45 minutes. There's 10 feet of copper tubing, so I feel it's pretty good. I do need to distill about 25 liters of water, so it's a couple of days where it has to run whenever I'm in the studio. And so far, I think this, which is, I'd say maybe 10 liters, is about half full. So we'll get there slowly. So, I just wanted to give you a little update on the shelving unit. I've been working on it a little bit. You can see that middle shelf is where I have my 4 trays, which I've prepared. I also have some lights on there. I have a 3-foot T8 LED fixture, as well as 3 purple fixtures, and we'll talk a little bit about why that one is a bit different in the next episode. I'm also starting to prepare the other shelves. You can see I have a slightly different color of fluorescent bulbs for the lower shelf, and of course I'm also setting up lights for the water reservoir that I have, where I'm going to be growing baby greens. And we'll take a really in-depth look at the water reservoir and at DWC hydroponics, deep water culture hydroponics, and balancing the pH of the water and making sure everything is good for our grow. Thank you for tuning in, and see you in a few days when